Ambassador Minho Park walked through the bright crystal halls of the big space station. His black diplomatic clothes felt heavy as he moved toward the meeting room. He had been doing this job for 20 years, and he was very tired of pretending to be weak. The meeting room was huge and made of some kind of glowing crystal that hurt human eyes a little. Minho sat down at the long table and waited. Soon, the big doors opened and High Counselor Veltha came in. The alien was twice as tall as any human, with gray skin like a snake and 4 yellow eyes that never blinked. Velthok sat down across from Minho. His body made clicking sounds when he moved. "Ambassador Park," he said in perfect Korean, though his voice sounded like steam coming out of a kettle. "Your people have been good workers for us for 100 years. But now we need to talk about the Tau Ceti star system." Minho folded his hands on the table and smiled politely. "Of course, Counselor. What can I help you with?" "The planets around Tau Ceti have very valuable metals under the ground," Velthok explained. His 4 eyes looked at Minho like he was looking at a bug. "These metals are too important for your primitive species to handle. We will take control of those planets." Other aliens sat around the big table. There was a creature made of living crystal that made musical sounds when it talked. There was a floating jellyfish-like thing that glowed different colors to show its feelings. There was a robot-looking being with too many arms. All of them nodded when Velthak spoke. Minho kept smiling. "I understand your concerns, Counselor, but humans have been living on those planets for 30 years. We have built cities there. Our children were born there." Velthak's mandibles clicked together, which was how his species laughed. "Children? You talk about your breeding like it matters to galactic politics." He leaned forward, his shadow falling over Minho. "Let me be very clear, Ambassador. We have allowed your species to spread to other planets because you make good workers. You can survive in places that would kill civilized beings. But the Tau Ceti system is too valuable to leave in primitive hands." The crystal being made a sound like wind chimes. The jellyfish creature glowed bright orange with agreement. The robot thing clicked its many arms together. Minho was quiet for a long time. He looked at each alien face around the table. They all looked so confident, so sure that humans would give up without a fight. Just like they always had before. For 100 years, humans had played a careful game. When the aliens first found Earth, they saw a dangerous planet full of violent weather, deadly animals, and toxic plants. But the aliens thought it was just barely dangerous enough to make tough workers, not dangerous enough to make real warriors. The aliens liked humans because they were useful. Humans could work in the vacuum of space without dying immediately. They could handle radiation that would kill most species. They could survive on planets with poison air and crushing gravity. The aliens thought this made humans good slaves, not good soldiers. Humans had let them think this. For 100 years, human diplomats had smiled and bowed and agreed to unfair deals. Human workers had pretended their technology was primitive. Human soldiers had acted clumsy and weak during military exercises with alien forces. But Min was tired of pretending. "Counselor Velthak," he said finally. His voice was still polite, but something had changed in it. Something that made the translation computers buzz and restart. "I think there has been a big misunderstanding about my species." He stood up slowly. The movement looked smooth and dangerous, like a hunting cat getting ready to jump. The aliens around the table suddenly felt uncomfortable, though they didn't know why. "For the past century, you have watched humans cooperate with you. You have seen us accept lower positions in galactic society. You have observed our restraint when you treated us badly." Minho's dark eyes moved from one alien face to another. "You thought this meant we were weak." The room felt colder. The crystal walls seemed to dim a little. "You were wrong," Minho continued. "What you saw was not humanity being weak. What you saw was humanity being polite." Velthak's 4 eyes narrowed. "Are you threatening us, Ambassador?" Minho smiled, But it was not the same polite smile he had worn for 20 years. This smile showed teeth. Not at all, counselor. I am simply correcting a misunderstanding. You see, for 100 years, you have been negotiating with humans, who were being diplomatic. You have never seen what happens when humans stop being diplomatic. The jellyfish creature's glow changed from orange to worried purple. The crystal being's musical sounds became discordant and nervous. The robot thing's arms moved in agitated patterns. Perhaps, Minho said as he gathered his papers, it is time you learned the difference. He walked toward the door, leaving the aliens sitting in shocked silence. As he reached the exit, he turned back one more time. You have 72 hours to reconsider your position on Tau Ceti. After that, you will be dealing with a very different kind of human. The door closed behind him with a soft whisper, but to the aliens, it sounded like thunder. Dr. Sujin Lee looked around the strange research lab one last time. The walls were made of living crystal that glowed soft blue and pink. She had worked here for 15 years, pretending to learn from the alien scientists, while secretly teaching them everything they knew. The crystalline hive mind was a species that shared one big brain across thousands of crystal bodies. They thought they were the smartest beings in the galaxy. They had invited Sujin to work with them because they wanted to study how primitive human brains worked. Sujin packed her last few things into a small bag. Around her, the crystal walls began flashing worried colors as the alien mind realized something was wrong. Dr. Lee, the voice came from everywhere at once, like a choir singing in her head. Why are you leaving so suddenly? Our work on quantum communication is almost finished. The medical robots we are building together will stop working in 3 days, Sujin said calmly as she deleted files from her computer. I need to tell you something before I go. The crystal walls pulsed faster, showing the aliens were getting nervous. Every amazing discovery you made in the last 50 years. Every breakthrough that made you feel so clever and advanced. Sujin smiled as she erased the last of her research. You got all of it from me. From humans. She walked to the door and put her hand on the control panel. The quantum communication system you're so proud of. My grandmother invented the basic science in the year 2301. Your medical nanorobots. We've been using better versions for decades. I was ordered to give you these technologies slowly, little by little, so you would think you discovered them yourselves. The crystal beings flashed bright red with shock. In all their thousands of years, no one had ever lied to them so completely. Sujin pressed a button on her device. All around the research ship, computer screens started showing error messages in Korean letters the aliens couldn't read. Good luck fixing your advanced technology without human help, she said as the door closed behind her, very far away. On an industrial planet called Kepler 438b, engineer Do-hyun Kim was talking to his alien bosses for the last time. The looked like giant praying mantises with too many arms. They had green skin and big black eyes that never showed any emotion. Do-hyun had worked in their factories for 20 years. Every day, the aliens laughed at him for using stupid human methods to build things. They never realized that every single part coming out of their factories was made with secret human technology. Engineer Kim, his supervisor, clicked in the Velthari language. Why are your primitive assembly lines shutting down? Do-hyun shouldered his backpack and looked around the massive factory floor. Hundreds of production lines were grinding to a stop. Robots were displaying error messages. Quality control systems were failing one by one. You always made jokes about how humans build things, Do-hyun said. Called our methods clumsy and inefficient. You never wondered why human workers could make parts that your best machines couldn't duplicate. The alien supervisor's antennae twitched with confusion. What are you talking about? Every component in your fastest spaceships contains quantum-level engineering that your scanners can't even detect. The gravity generators in your space stations, the matter converters that make your food, the computers that run your cities, All need parts that only humans know how to make. Du-Hyen started walking toward the exit. Behind him, more and more machines were breaking down. We weren't trying to match your standards, he called back. We were working far below our real abilities, because we didn't want to scare you. But now, that's over. His supervisor ran after him on 4 insect legs. Wait, you cannot leave. The factory will collapse without human workers. Yes, Du-Hyen said, without turning around. It will. In about 2 days, when the quantum seals on your equipment start breaking down. In the darkness of space, Captain Ji-Woo Choi sat in the command chair of the Earth Defense Force ship Incheon. It was a human warship that had spent 30 years pretending to be weak and clumsy during military exercises with alien fleets. A message appeared on her screen. It was short, but made her smile for the first time in months. Operation Courtesy. Terminated. Remove all performance limiters. Show them what we really are. All crew to battle stations, Ji-Woo announced. Engineering. Begin full power startup sequence. Weapons. Activate targeting systems. Navigation. Enable quantum drives. Around her, the bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency. These were systems they had trained on, but never been allowed to use. For decades, they had pretended their engines were slow, their weapons inaccurate, their defenses weak. The Incheon's engines came online with a deep humming sound that seemed to make space itself vibrate. Power readings climbed to levels that would have been impossible, according to alien science textbooks. Captain, her weapons officer reported, all systems operating at full capacity. Target acquisition is ... perfect. Communications, Ji-Woo ordered. Send this message to all human vessels. The masquerade is over. Let them see what Deathworlders really look like. Across human space, hundreds of ships received the same message. Engines that had sputtered and stalled during alien inspections suddenly moved faster than light in ways that broke alien understanding of physics. Weapons that had missed targets during joint exercises now hit with precision that seemed impossible. The aliens had spent a century believing humans were useful but primitive. Now they would learn the truth. Humans had been holding back on purpose, waiting for the day when politeness was no longer enough. That day had finally come. Dr. Young-Soo Kang stood in a control room high above Earth, through the big windows. He could see his home planet spinning slowly in space, looking peaceful and blue. But looks were about to change. Starting gravity normalization, he said to his team of 20 humans. Is everyone ready? For over 100 years, Earth had been hiding its true nature. When alien ships first visited, they scanned the planet and found it had normal gravity, normal weather, and air that was only a little bit dangerous. They thought Earth was a tough world that made tough people, but not too tough. They were very wrong. Young-Soo pressed a series of buttons on his control panel. Around the planet, hundreds of massive machines that had been disguised as research stations began shutting down. These machines had been working for decades to make Earth seem less dangerous than it really was. Gravity generators powering down, reported his assistant. All orbital stations are receiving automatic warnings. In space stations around Earth, alien diplomats and scientists suddenly felt like giant hands were pushing them into the floor. The gravity that human children played in every day was crushing beings from other worlds. Earth's real gravity was 2.3 times stronger than what the aliens had been told. Ambassador Velfak, who was visiting an Earth orbital station, found himself pressed against the floor, unable to move. His forearms were too heavy to lift. Around him, other aliens collapsed as the artificial gravity field that had been protecting them shut down. What is happening? He wheezed into his communicator. Earth is waking up, came the reply from a human technician far below on Earth's surface. Meteorologist Yoon Ji-han was activating weather control systems that had been running backwards for 2 centuries. The planet's normal weather had actually been created by enormous machines that calmed down Earth's natural storms. Atmospheric processors switching to normal mode, she announced. Everyone hold on. Earth's real weather began to show itself. Winds that would destroy alien cities felt like gentle breezes to humans. Lightning storms that would terrify most species looked like pretty light shows to people who had grown up with them. The northern lights spread across the entire sky as Earth's magnetic field revealed its true strength. On alien monitoring stations throughout the galaxy, sensors began screaming alarms. Earth's electromagnetic readings were off the charts. The planet was broadcasting energy signatures that should have been impossible for any world to produce naturally, deep under Earth's oceans. Geological engineer Hyen-Woo Park was turning on earthquake control systems that had been keeping the planet's crust artificially stable. Earth was a geologically active world, with tectonic plates that moved and shifted constantly. Tectonic stabilizers switching to monitoring mode only, he reported. Natural seismic activity resuming. The ground began to shake slightly as Earth's crust settled into its normal patterns. To humans, these were tiny tremors they barely noticed. To alien observers, the readings suggested a planet that was constantly trying to shake itself apart. In her laboratory, Dr. So-Young Kim was preparing to reveal the biggest secret of all. For over 200 years, human scientists had understood physics in ways that made alien technology look like children's toys. "Jinwook," she said to her research assistant, "are you ready to watch the galaxy's understanding of science change? Forever." "The aliens are going to be very surprised," Jinwook replied, looking at screens full of equations that would revolutionize galactic technology. "They're faster than light engines, they're energy shields, they're matter transporters," So-Young explained as she prepared to broadcast humanity's real scientific knowledge. "We invented all the basic principles before we even visited other planets. We've been pretending their technology was more advanced than ours." She pressed a button, and suddenly every alien scientist in the galaxy received data packets containing unified field theories, quantum manipulation formulas, and dimensional engineering principles that were centuries ahead of anything they thought possible across Earth. Monitoring stations registered changes that made alien deep space sensors shut down in self-protection. The planet's atmosphere was showing toxicity levels that should have killed any living thing instantly. Radiation readings were high enough to sterilize most known life forms. Temperature variations were extreme enough to melt metal and freeze gases solid within hours. But humans continued their normal daily lives. Children played in parks where the air would have been poisoned to aliens. Teenagers went swimming in oceans with radiation levels that would have killed most galactic species in minutes. Adults worked outside in weather conditions that alien military forces would classify as weapons of mass destruction. In the alien embassy on Earth's moon, Ambassador Christai of the Jellyfish Federation watched his instruments with growing horror. "The readings cannot be correct," he said to his staff. "No planet can naturally produce these conditions. No life form can survive in such an environment." His aide, a crystalline being, chimed nervously. "Sir, the humans are saying this is normal for them. They claim they have been making their planet seem safer for our benefit." Christai's body flashed deep purple with fear. "You mean they have been holding back their world's true nature?" "It appears so, sir. Earth is not a moderately dangerous world. It is a planet so hostile that our sensors classify it as uninhabitable by any known form of life, except humans. Except humans, sir." Down on Earth's surface, humans were finally home. After a century of living in an artificially tamed version of their world, they could feel their planet's true power beneath their feet. The air tasted right. The gravity felt normal. The storms sang songs they remembered from childhood. For the first time in generations, Earth was showing the galaxy what a real death world looked like, and humanity was just getting started. Admiral Seungmin Kwan stood on the bridge of his warship, the EDF Seoul. Through the big front window, he could see 300 alien ships spread out in space like a giant wall of metal and lights. The aliens thought their formation was perfect and unbeatable. The Seoul was one of only 47 human ships facing this massive alien fleet. For 30 years, these same human ships had participated in training exercises with alien forces, always performing poorly, always seeming weak and clumsy. Today would be different. "Admiral," said Tactical Officer In Sunam. Looking up from his control panel, "the alien commander wants to talk to us. He's demanding that we surrender." Seungmin straightened his uniform and nodded calmly. "Put him on screen." The main display flickered, and suddenly a huge alien face appeared. High Commander Zekthara had gray-green skin and 4 muscular arms that he spread wide to look threatening. His yellow eyes glowed with confidence as he spoke. Admiral Kwan Zekthara's voice was deep and rumbling. "You can see our fleet. 300 ships against your pathetic 47. Your weapons are primitive. Your ships are slow. Your foolish rebellion ends now. Surrender, and we might let some of your species live as slaves." Seungmin looked at the alien commander with the same polite expression he had worn during diplomatic meetings for decades. "Commander Zekthara, you are correct that something ends here today, but I think you misunderstand what is ending." He turned to his crew. "All ships, remove safety protocols. Authorization code, death, across the human fleet." 47 ships that had pretended to be weak for 30 years finally revealed their true nature. The Seoul's engines, which had always seemed to struggle during alien inspections, suddenly blazed with power that made space itself bend around them. The ship moved forward, but not in the normal way ships moved. It seemed to slip between dimensions, appearing and disappearing like a ghost. Zekthara's confident expression changed to confusion, then to fear. What are you doing? Those energy readings are impossible." On the Busan, another human ship, Captain Haijin Choi watched alien plasma weapons fire at her vessel. The deadly energy beams that should have destroyed her ship's armor instead struck the hull and simply disappeared, absorbed like water into a sponge. "Interesting," she said to her weapons officer. "Their plasma feeds our power systems nicely. All weapons, you are free to fire at full capacity." The Bison's main cannon had always been described as a simple kinetic weapon, just a gun that shot metal projectiles. But when its safety limiters were removed, the weapon fired projectiles at nearly the speed of light. The metal slug punched through 6 alien battleships in a straight line, their shields and armor offering no resistance at all. Impossible. Zekthara screamed as he watched his most powerful ships destroyed by a single shot. "Your weapons are primitive. Our intelligence reports were based on what we wanted you to see," Seungmin interrupted. His ship phased back into normal space, directly behind the alien formation. "For 30 years, we deliberately performed poorly in your training exercises. We wanted you to underestimate us." Another human ship, the Incheon, suddenly appeared inside the alien formation without warning. Its hull was changing color and texture, adapting to each different weapon that fired at it. Laser beams were reflected back at their sources. Missile explosions were absorbed and converted into shield energy. Lieutenant Tae-young Park, the Incheon's pilot, had grown up on Earth in 2.3 times normal gravity, breathing air that would poison most aliens, playing in radiation that would kill entire species. Flying a spaceship through enemy fire felt easy compared to a normal childhood on Earth. "Sir," reported the alien tactical officer on Zekthara's ship, "we're losing ships faster than our computers can count. The human vessels are moving in ways that violate known physics. Their weapons are there using technology we don't understand." On the human ship, Gwangju, Sergeant Dong Hyen Lee prepared to board an alien vessel. His spacesuit was designed to let him survive in the vacuum of space, in deadly radiation, in temperatures that would freeze alien blood solid. What the aliens didn't know was that these conditions were actually more comfortable for him than the artificial environments of their space stations. When Dong Hayan and his marines cut through the hull of the alien ship, the Zephyrian warriors inside took one look at them and ran screaming. These were soldiers who had conquered dozens of planets, but they had never faced enemies who treated the vacuum of space as a minor inconvenience. Zekthara, Sungmin's voice came across all communication channels, reaching every alien ship. In the fleet, you studied humans for a century and learned nothing important. You saw our restraint and thought it was weakness. You watched our diplomacy and assumed it was fear. More human ships were appearing throughout the alien formation, their weapons carving through superior alien technology like it was made of paper. Ships that should have been destroyed kept fighting, their hulls regenerating damage faster than the aliens could inflict it. We are not the species that barely survived on a dangerous planet, Sungmin continued as alien ships began retreating. In panic, we are the species that turned a planet so hostile it should have been uninhabitable into our home. We made friends with a world that was actively trying to kill us. The last thing Zekthara saw before his flagship exploded was Sungmin's calm smile. Now you understand what real Deathworlders look like. The war was over, but not because humans had won a big battle. The war ended because the aliens were too scared to keep fighting. They had seen what humans really were, and it broke their minds. High Counselor Velthok sat in the ruins of what used to be the Great Galactic Council Station. The once proud alien leader looked small and broken now. His 4 eyes were dull and empty, like someone who had seen too much horror. Across from him sat Ambassador Minho Park, the same human he had threatened just weeks before. The room was very hot, and the air was thick with gases that would have killed most aliens instantly. But the life support systems were running at comfortable settings for humans. Velthak needed a special breathing mask and cooling suit just to survive the meeting. Why? Velthak whispered, his voice barely audible through his mask. We watched your children playing games that would be torture to our young ones. We saw your old people working in conditions that kill our strongest warriors. Why did you hide what you really were? Minho poured himself tea from a small pot. The tea was so hot that steam rose from the cup, and Velthak's sensors beeped with temperature warnings. To Minho, it was just normal drinking temperature. Because we are human, Minho said quietly. Everyone calls us Deathworlders because we survive in impossible places. But that was never our greatest strength. Our greatest strength was choosing to be kind instead of cruel. He took a sip of his burning hot tea like it was cool water. We believed you could be better than you were. We hoped that by showing you our art, our music, our peaceful way of life, you might choose to cooperate instead of conquer. We spent 100 years teaching you our languages, sharing our culture, and protecting you from dangers you never even knew existed. Velthak's broken voice got a little stronger. Protecting us? From what? The Andromeda Devourers attacked our galaxy 17 times. We stopped them 17 times. The reality-eating parasites from the void between tried to consume entire star systems 14 times. We contained them every time. The time loop entities that almost destroyed your home planet in 2341. A single human operative neutralized them. Minho's voice stayed gentle, but Velthak shivered anyway. You never knew about these threats because we handled them quietly. We didn't ask for thanks or recognition. We just protected everyone, including species that looked down on us. The door opened and Director Su Jinan walked in. She was a small woman, but something about her made the room feel smaller. Behind her came General Chungmin-Oh, wearing powered armor that had been modified to work in the station's deadly environment. The transition is going well, Director Ron reported to Min-Oh. The former alien territories are adjusting to Terran Protectorate rule. The new environmental standards are difficult for the local populations, but they can survive with proper equipment. What she meant was that aliens now needed life support suits just to attend meetings on Earth, which had become the new capital of the galaxy. General O nodded. 7 resistance movements have surrendered after watching our standard military training. They thought our basic physical exercise routines were biological weapons. Minho turned back to Valthak. You see, Counselor, we weren't wrong about your species' ability to grow and change. We were just too hopeful about how quickly it would happen. But we weren't wrong about our own ability to be patient. Through the big windows, Earth floated in space like a beautiful blue marble. But now, alien sensors registered it as a class hazard world, a planet so dangerous that no known life forms should be able to survive there. Around Earth. In the orbital habitats and space stations, something amazing was happening. Children from 12 different alien species were playing together in Earth normal conditions. The gravity that would have crushed their grandparents, the air that would have poisoned their parents, the radiation that would have killed their older siblings. These young aliens were adapting to it all. Teacher Era Jung watched over a classroom where human children easily lifted weights that would challenge adult aliens. While alien children were developing strength and resilience their families had never imagined possible. It's remarkable, she noted in her daily report. The alien children aren't just surviving in Earth conditions, they're thriving. Yesterday, a young crystalline child actually laughed when she fell down. 6 months ago, her species considered any physical discomfort a major trauma. In his office, President Kehoe Park looked out at the peaceful galaxy. For the first time in recorded history, there were no wars, no conflicts, no invasions. Not because of treaties or threats, but because every species in the galaxy now understood a simple truth. Humans had spent 4 billion years learning to survive on a world that was constantly trying to kill them. They had developed technology that could destroy planets, minds that could think faster than computers, and bodies that treated deadly conditions as minor inconveniences. And for 100 years, they had chosen to pretend to be weak because they hoped their enemies could become friends. The galaxy was at peace not because everyone feared what humans could do, but because everyone finally understood what humans had chosen not to do outside his window. Earth's northern lights painted the sky in colors that would have been toxic to most species' eyes. But to humans, it was simply beautiful, and for the first time in galactic history, beauty was enough to keep the peace.